saw how much the community, the LGBT, how much they stamped their feet on the ground, trying to put forth their word and say this is what we want and this is what we. But we saw everything that happened. So now, do you actually think that probably in the next 4 years the world might decide to be going the rainbow color?
I don't think so, because
maybe even Africa too.
No, I don't think so. You know, there are some things that are alien to some individuals. For us in Africa, this particular thing is alien to our culture. Let me even, it's alien. It's alien to our own culture. Seriously, no matter how you look at it, no matter how they try to push it. Yes, they might be able to like go further, but saying that the whole world, you know, adopting this particular thing is not going to be possible. There will still be individuals, there will still be countries that will still kick against it.
Now, in the words of Robbie Keane, he is an Irish professional football coach and former player who played as a striker. He once said, "We have a great sense of togetherness. It is our team spirit that has taken us to this World Cup." All right, our next one is from Edson Arantes do Nascimento, known as Pele. He is a Brazilian former professional footballer who played as a forward, regarded as one of the greatest players of all time. He once said, "The World Cup is a very important way to measure the good players and the great ones. It is a test of the great player." Absolutely spot on. And the next one is from Cristiano Ronaldo, Portuguese professional footballer. He once said, "To go to a World Cup is a dream come true, and I can claim to have experience from those 4 times." Okay, I like that one. And I'm sure a lot of you know why. Anyways, let's see how all of this correlates what we'll be discussing tonight. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Now, the 2022 World Cup began Sunday in Qatar with the host country's national soccer team taking on Ecuador and ultimately losing 2-0. Now, in a world divided in so many ways, the tournament is a rare uniter. FIFA, soccer's international governing body, projects 5 billion people will tune in, again making the month-long event the most watched sports spectacle on the planet. The tiny but fabulously wealthy Gulf nation of Qatar spent 12 years preparing to host soccer's World Cup, and a marathon of planning and patience during which it withdrew an entire nation by building stadiums and hotels, roads and sidewalks, even a gleaming new sideway system. The start actually signaled the end of 12-year build-up that's been more complicated and controversial than perhaps any World Cup before. Awarded to Qatar in 2010, the World Cup was allegedly conceived amidst bribery. That's according to officials from the US, which lost the bidding war at the end. Then the tournament was moved to November-December because of concerns about excessive heat in Qatar during the traditional June-July World Cup window. Now, meanwhile, human rights group began revealing the ding-dong on migrant workers tasked with building the World Cup's infrastructure. And then concerns arose about potential mistreatment of the LGBTQIA fans in Qatar, where homosexuality is illegal. The World Show is certainly enough to make you want to sit down with a nice cold beer. Oh no, I actually forgot that was banned, except non-alcoholic beer, to stop your head from spinning. Ouch. Now, as the football finally ended last weekend, the question for many is how to embrace this widely popular event. What's and all the good, the bad, and the ugly takeaways. What is it for you? So tonight, we'll draw up highlights from the just concluded Qatar 2022 World Cup with my guest. He is Terkimbi Fidelis. He is a sports journalist, and he'll help us to analyze on the stories that we'll be talking about today. Then we have more still to come after this timeout. Do stay.
Like, what's your greatest moment or your highlights on the just concluded World Cup?
Thank you very much. My highlight of the recently concluded World Cup has to be the final because for me, it is the most fascinating final I've watched in all my years of following the FIFA World Cup. And I think uh, another final I'll be able to that comes very close to this has to be the Brazil versus Germany final. I think in the Korea Japan World Cup 2002. But aside that, no final has ever come close.
It's when our goats took the cup, of course. The World Cup was different kind of World Cup. We saw the game moving from 2-0 to 2-2 to 3-2 to 3-3, and the penalty shootout was the highlight of the game, where we saw goals coming in and saves from the goalkeeper. So my greatest highlights will be when the Argentina captain Lionel Messi took his cup and celebrated with his teammates and also the fans and his family also.
I think Qatar surprised a lot of people because it was expected that it was. I think it started a bit boring, but it showed that there's a lot of drama, and no one's place was quite sure. I think that was the main thing here. We saw some upsets from some teams that were considered perhaps smaller. But in the end, at the end, it's a special World Cup all around because it's the World Cup that ends an age-long debate. Because we've always had this: who is the GOAT? Ronaldo, Messi. So this will be the World Cup for all of history. The 2022 Qatar World Cup is the World Cup where one of those two finally got ahead of the other. Although the other one has always been ahead, that's Messi. But still, this time around it was cemented. There's almost no more argument. So there were a lot of special things, and this is one of the most exciting finals ever.
I enjoy watching people from let's say, the same continent I'm from, despite the fact that Nigeria was not there. So I enjoyed the Senegalese game. I also enjoyed that of Morocco. We all saw how hard they worked.
So, who is your greatest of all time?
Thank you very much. We already know. If you look at my forehead right now, you see it written boldly there. Lionel Andres Messi, Messi has to be the greatest of all time. Though the debate had already been settled very long time ago. The debate had already been put to bed. But for the benefit of the doubting Thomases, we had to just save the best for the last. So, like I've been saying since the final whistle of the final.
Undisputed, unarguably, Lionel Messi. You can't take it from him. He's everything football has seen in the past 15 to 20 years. He has been everywhere, carries his team along, and my GOAT, Lionel Messi.
Ronaldo is my greatest of all time, even though he wasn't at his best, but I'm a kind of person, I loved his football. He worked hard, and he tried everything he could with the team, but as fate will have it, let's say football is a game of one person must win and there must be a winner and a loser. So at least he's my greatest of all time, even though he didn't make it to the final. Though I know the rivalry between him and Messi is there, but I tell you, Ronaldo is still the greatest of all time.
Well, it used to be Ronaldo, but that was out of loyalty because he was a player that plays for my team. I'm a United fan, and so that was why. But in terms of being objective, just looking at things the way they are, who is better, no sentiments, no person you prefer, not because of their face or their Instagram or whatever, just based on football, then obviously it's Messi.
If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll go straight to our discussion for today. We have a very own Terkimbi Fidelis. He is a sports analyst, and we will be talking, we're talking sports today. good to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
Great.
You're
Okay,
smiling. I hope you're also. Why are you smiling? You're not supposed to be smiling. Are you happy about the outcome of the finals?
I'm not happy because my GOAT was bashed.
Our GOAT was not there. He was not in the finals, and most of us were not even expecting Argentina to win. But it is what it is. Ronaldo is still the GOAT, though.
Yeah, he's still the GOAT, but that we don't care whatever anybody says about it.
He doesn't need the World Cup to be the GOAT.
Exactly.
He doesn't. He has already cemented his place as the GOAT, so there's no need for him to even win the World Cup.
Let them just argue what they want to argue. See, Ronaldo is still the GOAT of all.
It's their time. They should just enjoy their time. It's their time, so let them just enjoy it. I believe that very soon.
Like we were saying, all these Thursday footballers, they are even making.
They are all Thursday footballers. Most of them are just trying to like gain happiness as a result of this particular World Cup. But once in a 4-year competition, they're just trying to be happy because they know that once club football resumes, there won't be anything for them. So they should be happy. That is why I say it's their time. Let them be happy because by January but at the end of the month, league will resume and the reality will set in.
Exactly.
So it's just their own time to enjoy.
Yeah. So
and the enjoyment is going to be short-lived. It's going to be short-lived.
All right, so now let's get your highlights and analysis generally from the Qatar World Cup and what exactly stood for you all through from start to finish.
Well, the World Cup was a very, very spectacular one. Before the World Cup started, we had a lot of issues. A lot of people did not expect them to have this kind of success. Nobody expected this World Cup to be this successful because we had a lot of issues like from the human rights abuse, the LGBT, the ban on alcohol, and so on and so forth. And being the first time that the World Cup is being hosted in the Middle East, and then the first World Cup of its caliber that is being hosted in December, many people were expecting the worst, but at the end of the day, it turned out to be very beautiful. It was a very, very good one. And knowing fully well that this is the first World Cup that that is being hosted in December, and the most expensive World Cup in the history of football. Yeah, you cannot take that away from it. So we expected it to be, for me, I expected it to be a success because you cannot spend that kind of money and they get it wrong.
So why are people expecting that with all that kind of money that they spend, that is going to be like hogwash? Yeah,
because as I mentioned earlier, they have this ban on LGBTQ, and most European people we are expecting that at least maybe FIFA will be able to like force them to be able to accept all these gay people into the tournament, and they actually said that they are not going to ban anybody. You should be able to come, but you should be able to like respect them. So because of all those things, and everybody know that football goes with alcohol. If you have been if you have been following the World Cup, you know that Budweiser is one of the major sponsors of FIFA World Cup. So them being the major player in terms of FIFA competition, and then them being banned, they are not allowed to come and sell their products in the World Cup.
They still sold them non-alcoholic.
Non-alcoholic. Yeah, but non-alcoholic can never sell the same way that alcoholic can be able to sell. So a lot of people are expecting World Cup without the alcohol. How are the fans going? Everything. We all play for the footballers. They play for the fans. If the fans cannot be able to ginger them up, the whole thing will be messed up. So people are expecting that the World Cup might not live up to expectation, but at the end of the day, it was a success. And one thing that I noticed from the World Cup is that this is the first time that an English fan has never been arrested in the World Cup. I believe that it's because of the non-alcohol. English fans are known for being very, very, how do I even put it, they're always fighting in any competition, not just the World Cup. Be it the Euros, any competition they go in, they're always fighting. But this time around, none of them fought, none of them was arrested. Yeah, because there was no alcohol.
Anyway. All right, now let's talk about, since you talked about being expensive, let's talk about the state-of-the-art stadium and the 8th wonder stadium, as most people would actually prefer to call it. What are your observations?
Man, they were top-notch. I posted something on my status some weeks ago that if you are a fan of event lighting and sound and special effects, that you need to be watching this particular World Cup because everything was top-notch. Before the kickoff, you can see the kind of work that these guys are putting. The lighting in the stadium, the sound in the stadium, everything was in sync. You don't understand, air condition, everything was in sync, everything went together. So it was top-notch. Even though this the first World Cup that had the fewer number of stadiums, just 8 stadiums, but those 8 stadiums, they were perfectly well organized, and at the end of the day, they hosted the whole world, and there was no issues at all.
seeing the fact that they just those 8 stadium, and then people were already saying that, are you sure they're going to even do well? But yeah, they were able to put their house together. So does it actually tell you that it's not by the number? That
is why I always talk about organization. If you are well organized, it doesn't really matter how small. If you follow Qatar, if you know Qatar, Qatar is a very small country. And even this stadium, you know, the distance between one stadium to another is not that much. They are all closely linked together. So if you are talking about, like, as you rightly say, lots of people say that there might be issues because the stadiums are not much. That it's not actually what we have been used to seeing in previous World Cups. But then when you look at it, these guys, they already knew that this is what we are going to bring to the table, and they made the best use of it in such a way that nobody has been able to come out to even come and criticize. Because I know for sure that the Western media were always trying to see how they can be able to see loopholes inside this particular World Cup. But at the end of the day, there was nothing to say. There was no negative thing to say about them. So it's kudos to them. It's kudos to the organizers of the competition. They really did well. It was a great job.
All right, so now let's talk about the argument from the beginning that Qatar should not even be allowed to host the World Cup with regards to their involvement in politics. Some say that they are too political to be hosting a football match, let alone a World Cup. Yeah. So why exactly is Qatar, why all the controversies with regards to them hosting the World Cup?
You know, the Western media, not just the Western media, the Western world itself does not really want anything to do with any country that is against the LGBT laws, any country that makes LGBT to be punishable in their own country. You know, the Western media, Western individuals will always try to like stay away from them. So that was the major problem. That has always been the major problem. But FIFA has come out to come and say that football unites everybody, no matter who you are. You should be able to like unite. Football should be able to like unite you, but at the same time as it's uniting you, you should be able to like respect the rights of everybody. Do you understand? So no matter how it is, you should be able to like, respect these people. But the Western people did not want to see it that way. They didn't want that particular World Cup to be out of the Western world. They always want it to be in their own place. And there were a lot of allegations on this particular World Cup about the hosting right, that they spent that they spent a lot of money in bribing FIFA officials before they were able to like be awarded. And if you even look at it, there are a lot of documentaries online that you can watch that you even see that it even proves some of these things, some of these allegations. But no matter how it's going to be, we know that at one point in time, it will not always be about the Western world. You know, the whole world is consisted of a lot of people, and the World Cup is not just a Western thing. Do you understand? That is why a lot of people were criticizing FIFA for even putting the World Cup in the middle of the season. But I was one of those people that was always saying that these things should not be about the Western world. We know that yes, like the European League is like the most superior when it comes to club football. But then apart from this, we are not talking about the league. This is FIFA. This is the whole world. So you should be able to like make it in such a way that every country should be able to like benefit, irrespective of where you're coming from, irrespective of the weather condition and so on and so forth. So I was happy that FIFA they actually stuck to their guns and still made the World Cup to be able to be hosted in December. At the end of the day, it was a great one.
Okay, now, so since with regards to what the Western world or the global North are doing, saying that we've heard that argument of how much they paid or they bribed their way in, is supposed to be US, and then they bribed their way in and all of that. So, and then that has been the major bone of contention right from time. So why exactly do you think that the global North, they are always at people's throats? Is it just because of the LGBT stuff? Because definitely in the next 4 years we should be expecting another World Cup from them.
Yeah, you know, that LGBT thing, as I mentioned before, is one of the major issues that they're having, most especially with Qatar. But then apart from the LGBT, we still have other things like the human rights abuse, the way they treat their workers, because we know that they depend on foreign labor. Qatar actually depend on foreign labor. They depend on foreigners. And then there are even allegations that they even employ people from Pakistan and some of all these countries to come into the stadiums as fans, and they were paying them, I think, like, was it $10 every day? Wow, really? Do you understand? So a lot of things were involved. But I believe personally that the major problem that the Western world have with Qatar is because of this LGBTQ stuff. And apart from that, we all know that Qatar is a Muslim country. So there are a lot of factors, but for me, I still believe that LGBTQ is the major problem why they didn't want that World Cup to be hosted in there. And then apart from that, we also have the temperature issue. But they try as much as possible to, to be able to like curtail the temperature issue by bringing in a lot of air conditioners inside the training grounds and even inside the stadium. So for me, I believe that in the next 4 years, USA, I think it's going to be hosted by USA, Canada, and Mexico, if I'm not forgetting. In the next 4 years, they will have a lot of work to do to be able to like surpass this particular World Cup, because these guys, they gave us a very, very good show.
Very good game.
Yeah, they gave us a very good show.
So that's LGBT. Now, since we're expecting another World Cup in the next 4 years, do you actually see? We saw how much the community, the LGBT, how much they stamped their feet on the ground, trying to put forth their word and say this is what we want and this is what we. But we saw everything that happened. So now, do you actually think that probably in the next 4 years the world might decide to be going the rainbow color?
I don't think so, because
even Africa too.
No, I don't think so. There are some things that are alien to some individuals. For us in Africa, this particular thing is alien to our culture. Let me even, it's alien. It's alien to our own culture. Seriously, no matter how you look at it, no matter how they try to push it. Yes, they might be able to like go further, but saying that the whole world, adopting this particular thing is not going to be possible. There will still be individuals, there will still be countries that will still kick against it. And I can't even foresee, even in the next 30 years, you will still see a lot of people that will still be standing their ground. And
so during the next World Cup, are you sure that we are not, maybe the next World Cup, you might just be seeing a lot of rainbow colors everywhere?
Definitely you will see it. You see it, because we all know that United States is one of the countries that has been pushing for this particular stuff. They have been pushing for it, and they even have issues with any country that does not adopt it. So they are going to like do everything possible, because they denied them that right. They denied them the right for them to be able to like put it on a global map in this particular World Cup. So they will try to like make up for lost ground in the next World Cup. But still, there are still some countries, there are still individuals that will still kick against it. That's how it is.
Let's bring it back home and then talk about the fact that our country, Nigeria, was not allowed to qualify for the World Cup.
I was not expected to.
Even though we sometimes want to pretend and then mind our own business and just turn a blind eye to it and pretend like we're not disappointed, but then we can still see the angst and the disappointment in the minds of people in that regard. So to think that we probably might have a shot in the next to qualify in the next World Cup in 2026. So what should we be doing? First, I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and I'd like you to take them in one breath. Okay. First, what exactly was the reason why we didn't qualify for that World Cup? And then second, what should we be doing in preparation to ensure that we up our games? Because over time, there have always been this argument and issue that Nigeria, they're always never been prepared. While others are preparing, we're always chilling and doing something else. Because we see that Qatar actually spent 12 years preparing to host this soccer World Cup that lasted for 29 days and then with 64 matches to be played in 8 different stadiums like we talked about. So what should we be doing to ensure that we up our game when we come in to 2026? I
think you've already answered the first question: preparation, organization. Do you understand? We've always been saying this thing over and over again, that Nigeria is not organized. We don't have, whenever you put your house in order, you have a very, very good result. But when you don't put your house in order, even some people that are not even expected to even come and deal with you, they'll just come and take over everything. It's always, we have everything. We have the talents. We have everything to be able to be qualified. We have all the people. We have all the players that can be able to qualify also every World Cup. But the major problem has always been our administrative issues. We politicize everything in this country. And our sport, even though the sport is not supposed to be politicized, but our sport system, our sport administration is being politicized. Do you understand? You have countries like a country like Tunisia, it's even in Africa here, when they did not qualify for the World Cup, their president and all the executive, the president of their AFI, their football association, the president and all of their executive, they all resigned. But in Nigeria, our FA president did not even want to he did not even think about resigning. He wanted to even go for another term, under 4-year term. And this is someone that is well known for, I call him Mr. Picnic. His name is Amaju Picnic, but I call him, I call him Mr. Picnic because he loves going everywhere to go and enjoy himself. He does not like to even come and do the right thing to put Nigeria on the global map. We all know that Nigeria is a powerhouse when it comes to football. But our major problem has always been organization. We have never really been organized. They are actually out there to just fulfill their needs and so on and so forth. They are not concerned about how Nigerians feel. And we all know that football brings a lot of happiness to many Nigerians and unites everybody. When Nigeria is playing, nobody is talking about tribe, nobody is talking about ethnicity, nobody is talking about religion. But they fail to capitalize on it to make sure that Nigeria will be represented. And I just hope, coming to your second question, I just hope that with this new administration, they should be able to like put their house in order. Because if we don't do it, even though we see Africa has like 9 slots, if we do not put our house in order, it will still be the same thing. It will still be the same thing. We have a lot of work to do. Seriously.
So that means we are supposed to start doing whatever we need to do.
Preparation has to start. Preparation is not even. Preparation ought to have started.
Oh, okay.
It ought to have started. It's not even now. Preparation for the next World Cup ought to have started. It's not just now because we failed to continue. So, we failed to qualify for this particular World Cup. So they were supposed to start. They were supposed to start preparation. And for me, the right thing for them to have done was to do away with this particular coach because I don't know what he has done. He has played several matches and he has not been able to even play any good football. He has not been able to get the win. So what are you keeping him for?
So, but why is the blame always going to the coach and not?
Definitely, the coach is the one that is going to give instructions to the players. The coach is the one that is going. We all know that in Nigeria here, a lot of things, a lot of factors. You cannot just put the blame on the coach alone because, as I said before, the organization, and then we all know that in Nigeria, the kind of players that represent Nigeria are not the best. Do you understand? Because we have very, very good players, but you know, as a result of who knows who. Yeah, let my own player. Do you understand?
My brother is
I have so person, let him be in the starting lineup. Sometimes we have individuals that will even give a standing order to the coach that a particular player must not be on the bench. He must start. So if we don't get all these things right, if we don't get all of them right, it's going to be a very, very big problem. Then on the coach's part, I don't believe that he's the right person to lead Nigeria to even the Nations Cup.
You mean the current coach?
Yeah, the current coach. I don't believe. Even before he came, I don't believe that he's the right man to do the job. Do
you actually ever see Nigeria going away from that politics?
It's going to be very, very difficult because it's actually a reflection of our own society. Our own society is actually reflecting on the football administration. Even though, in as much as we will try to like deny it and say that politics should not be in football, and rightly so, politics should not be in football. But we all know that they are all politicians. All these guys are all politicians.
All right, then. So since we've actually talked about the tribe and all of that, so what message do you actually think? We saw a particular sporting station. I don't want to mention their name because they didn't pay me for PR. Yeah. So now that sporting station that decided to go the pidgin way, to use pidgin and to in terms of commenting, the commentators actually went through with pidgin. So what kind of message do you think that they're trying to portray? Like, well, that's one on the side, and then secondly, why are we not actually infusing any of our indigenous languages like Yoruba, Igbo, or Hausa into this commentation and all? Does that actually mean that aside the Western or the Queen's English, that pidgin might just be Nigeria's next official language that everybody understands regardless of what tribe you're from?
I don't know. For some people that know me right from school days, I've always been this kind of person that was like, if I ever have the opportunity to be like maybe the educational minister, I'll be able to like inculcate pidgin into into Nigerian syllabus. We need to redefine it because whenever you go out, whenever you relate with someone that is not in Nigeria, the first thing they will do is that they will try to speak to you in pidgin. Even if it's just one word, they will try to like speak to you in pidgin. This is what defines us. Do you understand? It's a thing of pride. So if this particular language is what a lot of people are using, and we should be able to like take pride in in speaking pidgin, and we should be able to like take full advantage of it, redefine it, remodel it, make it in such a way that yes, you can even be able to write books in pidgin. You should be able to You can see what a particular news channel is doing. They have the pidgin. Apart from the pidgin comment, I think we even have Hausa and Yoruba and Igbo commentary. But then we are talking about the pidgin now. There are some I think there are some news channels that even started writing their own news in pidgin. And when you're listening to some radio programs that are being done in pidgin, and pidgin is well loved, is well accepted. We should be able to like take advantage of it. Remotely redefine it, just as I said before. We need to take advantage of it and make sure that it is well used. And just as you said, maybe in the next 1 or few years, it might be the official language of Nigeria. I'm really hoping to see that.
Okay, so I'm sure you also enjoy that part where, because in fact I was surprised the first day I started listening, and then I heard one pidgin commentary, and then somebody was just speaking.
I was surprised.
I was like, really? Really? What was that?
The same thing. I was actually surprised when I saw it. I never expected it. But when I saw it, I was very, very proud. I was proud to be a Nigerian. Seriously, I was proud to be a Nigerian. Up to now, if I'm watching football alone, there's no way I would not be able to like tune into the pidgin commentary. Because apart from the fact that it's pidgin, you know, it makes me to be happy. It makes me to laugh. Whenever you are listening to this thing, it makes you to laugh. And as I was saying before, that we have a lot of talents in Nigeria. We have the kind of talent that can be able to like put us on the global map. But the major problem we have is organization. There was a particular video clip that I saw about a boy, a Nigerian guy, you know, giving commentary both in French and in Spanish and English. This is a guy that has not been to France. This is a guy that has not been to Spain. Just by following all these commentators, this guy can give commentary. I think I'll be able to like give you that clip. If you watch that thing, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed how someone that has not been able to even comment on any match officially, he can be able to give a very good commentary that you'll be like, is it Peter Drury or what? Do you understand? Not just in English. You give it in Spanish. You give it in French. Oh, wow. We have a lot of talent in this country, but man, our football association is just being. It's not just the football association though. Our sporting sector is just bad. And when you even think about the whole thing, there is a lot of money involved in sports. There's a lot of money involved.
We'll definitely go right back to that part where you talked about lots of money. Yeah. Let's go on this quick break, and when we return, we'll continue with this conversation with Fidelis. See you shortly. I know, but I just needed you to tell our viewers again. Here's the part that I love most. I'll start with. Who is the greatest of all time? Is it Cristiano Ronaldo, dos Santos, Aveiro, or Lionel Andres Messi? Who is it for you?
Definitely for me, Cristiano is the GOAT.
Oh.
Yeah, Cristiano is the GOAT. Just as I mentioned before that, but we all know that the GOAT debate can never ever finish.
If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, we're talking sports, and we're taking highlights and review of the Qatar World Cup that just ended a few hours ago. All right, so since we've actually talked about the pidgin, we've talked about, in fact, I just remember the parts where when I listened to that English, I was just like, oh God, it doesn't look as if I'm watching football. It looks like, man, I was just enjoying myself.
That is how it's supposed to be. That is the idea behind the whole thing. You know, when you're actually speaking in pidgin, it makes you flow. It makes you feel like a Nigerian. It's something that's actually unique to Nigeria. So why can't we take advantage of it?
Most definitely. All right, now let's talk about the picture of the disguised or covered stacks of alcohol that found its way into the stadium at some point, and then just sneaked into the stadium. Even when they said that no beer, we talked about that earlier, then they said that no beer or alcohol is allowed in, and it's still unclear what actually prompted the ban to so close to the tournament, and then decided to ban alcohol, and fans had to adjust to the rules later on. But then over time it has been proven that you cannot separate alcohol and, in fact, sometimes women from football. So what are your reactions to that? You
know, there's no way you can be able to there was no way that Qatar was going to allow alcohol, because we all know that Qatar is a Muslim state. Muslims are so strong on anything. They are so against anything alcohol. So there was no way that anybody was expecting that Qatar is going to host a World Cup and they will allow alcohol into the stadium or into their own country. There was no way. But as far as we all know that human beings always find a way to be able to sneak in things. I remember when we went to NYC camp in Abuja, they told us that there was nothing like alcohol into the camp, but at the end of the day, you see people even drinking, drinking to stupor, and it was even the people that were supposed to enforce this particular load, they were the ones that were
Selling.
smuggling in. They were smuggling it into the camp. So as far as we are dealing with human beings, there is no way you have a 100% success rate. There must be that one person. There must be that one person that will want to like sneak it in. You know, people derive joy in breaking laws. So there was no way you can be able to. I still believe that a lot of individuals still took alcohol in that World Cup, but at least not to a large percentage.
All right, now let's talk about Morocco. And then we saw how at least they tried
The
to
dream
get
team.
to the semi-finals. And
Yeah.
then you still have people saying that they are, what was that what I heard? So someone would say, okay, they were giving thanks for coming. What is you people's own? After all, Nigeria did not go. So why people just hating?
I think so.
And even Ghana, some people were just bashing Ghana. What was all that bashing all about?
Yeah, I had someone on the show I think some days before the start of the World Cup, and the guy was like, anybody should win the World Cup, but not Ghana. You know,
Why?
a lot of people still carry this, let me not use a particular word I want to use. A lot of people still believe that Ghana prevented Nigeria from going to the World Cup. So as a result, they are still hating on Ghana. But I don't believe that Ghana prevented Nigeria. I believe that Nigeria prevented themselves from qualifying for the World Cup. Because had they been able to put our hands together, we are far, far better than the Ghanaian team that even went to that even defeated Nigeria and even went to that particular World Cup. The Ghanaian team does not have the kind of players that they have, that Nigeria have. They don't have those kind of players. But what they have is that they tried everything possible to make sure that they qualify, knowing fully well that they are not as good as Nigeria. They found a tactics to be able to like win Nigeria, and they went to the World Cup. To be realistic, this guy, they tried where they did well in that particular way. I don't even think that Nigeria would have even done what Ghana did in the World Cup. They actually played well. And then coming back to Morocco, Morocco is like, they are the first African country to get to the semi-final. The first Arab country to get to the semi-final. And they did so by defeating some of the top ranked teams in the whole world. They had a very, very good tournament. So I don't know why anybody will be hating on them to say that they were being given a chance for coming. You all know that in football, it's not all the time that you win. And for the fact that they win that far, nobody should be able to like hate on them. We should all be able to like applaud them and see how we can be able to like pick from their success story and see how we can be able to like develop our own. Of recent, I was listening to a certain presidential candidate, and he was saying that he's going to adopt what Morocco did in terms of sport in their country, so that you can be able to see how Nigerian sport is being put on the global map. Because if you go to Morocco, they say that every street you enter, the country actually provided a football pitch on every street, which means they gave everybody that has this talent, has this mindset, has this desire to play football, they gave them every opportunity to be able to succeed. And it's not just football. It should not just, because a lot of Nigerians are interested in sport, other sport apart from football too. But we all know that football is the all in Nigeria, but we still have other sports that people are interested in. So if you can be able to like develop the sports sector, then in no due time, Nigeria will be on top of the world when it comes to sporting activities.
Now let's talk about Argentina, not the one that they actually played during the finals, but the other matches that they played that almost made a lot of people go depressed. In fact, even some of our colleagues here were like almost depressed, especially those that had one betting on
I know them.
What exactly? What happened?
I know them.
What's the issue with
this particular Argentine team does not have the kind of players that they used to have. The only player that they have on the pitch that is well known, that is that good, is Messi. Apart from Messi, all their players are average players. I'm not saying this because I just want to like maybe look down on them or maybe say some negative things. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to come out as being negative. But in reality, most of all these players that Argentina brought to this particular World Cup, they are average players. So when you look at Argentina, that is why anytime that they meet a team that is well prepared, they always struggle. And them coming all the way to the finals and even winning it is kudos to their coach and Lionel Messi, because the coach knew very well that he does not have the players to be able to like match what other teams has brought to the World Cup. So he needed to like employ a particular tactics that can be able to like give him the win. I always say that in football, the only person that is being remembered is the one that wins. If you watch Argentina, if you watch them very well, they try to frustrate their opponents. They try to commit tactical fouls. And that is what they upset all their opponents in such a way that the opponents will become confused. And they try to like take out your best player. They'll take out your best player by fouling the person, following him up and down, making sure once you take out the best player, you destabilize the whole team. and you make the whole team to be confused, and that is when they will now come in.
But at some point, they were even playing like they were tired or destabilized.
Yeah. At a point, when you're losing, when you're winning by 2 goals, or even when you're winning by a large margin, and then all of a sudden the other team come back into the game, psychologically it will affect you. It will affect you. That was what happened. That was why I was mad with the French coach, because as of that time, he would have killed the game. He would have urged his players to go forward, because knowing fully well that Argentina were just holding on for their life as at that time, because they were just trying to get to the penalties, because they know that their goalkeeper is very, very good when it comes to penalty. But throughout the tournament, we all know that Argentina have not been. They don't have the kind of players that they used to have before, and they were not that good. But they found a way to win, which is the most important thing. That is kudos to their coach, seriously.
Yeah, all right. Let's bring this back home and then talk about our own Nigerian sport now. We've actually talked about how much we have potentials in Nigeria. So I'm just wondering, why exactly have we not been able to host a Premier League, or even tap from the potentials of hosting football internationally, just as we see in other countries? What exactly is the problem, even though Nigeria is supposedly seen as football lovers, in fact, lovers of sports? So where is the problem coming from? And that's one on the side. And then secondly, do you actually think that our football should be privatized?
Well, football privatizing, I've never actually been a fan of it, because I still believe that there is a role that the private individuals can be able to come into football to assist, and they have actually been doing that. But the major problem has been the administration, the football administration, and then the sport administration in Nigeria in general is very, very bad. Obviously, I think in the last few months, or early this year, we had this serious tug of war between a particular faction of the Nigerian Basketball Association, and then under their ex-president and someone that was parading himself as a new president, and so on and so forth. You had a very, very serious, I think that was last year, they had a very serious issue in such a way that the president has to even intervene, and came in and even banned Nigeria from going to the World Cup to go and even represent the World Cup that the players fought to even they fought to qualify. At the end of the day, because of the issues they were having, the administrative part of it, the president has to come in and say, okay, I'm putting everything about basketball on hold. So you guys that have suffered to go and qualify for this World Cup, you are not going to partake in it. For many of us, we are very, very angry at that particular move. Okay, these guys, they suffer to qualify for this World Cup. I believe that they should have been allowed to go and partake in that particular World Cup. But that is just by the way. Nigerian sports, I don't think that Nigerian sports should be, football should be privatized. We don't need to privatize it before we can be able to
So then how can we need tap into the business of football?
Yeah, the way it is, if we can be able to have a very, very good administrator, a very, very good FA chairman that has the interest of Nigerian football at heart, this thing is not rocket science. We have private individuals that have come in to even donate money to our own league. Do you understand? That was during the past administration, and they will never ever admit, they will never ever come out to come and say that, okay, this is how much we have received. They will just tell you that it's a particular, maybe a particular company or a particular individual has donated a certain amount, but they will never tell you. And that is...
Is that a problem?
Yeah, no. Money is actually one of the major problems. They have the money, but most times they don't use the money in the right way that they are supposed to use it. And then when you're coming back, when you're collecting money, and you cannot be able to talk or say the right amount, maybe the amount that you've been given, which means there is nothing like accountability. You can decide to keep a certain amount of money for yourself and then release a few, and nobody will be able to know. And these individuals that donate, they will not come out to come and say that they have donated a certain amount. I heard that there was a particular, I don't know though, I've never verified that, but I heard that before TB Joshua died, that every tournament that Nigeria qualified, there is a certain amount that he used to give them before they will go, and nobody will know. There are individuals, people like Dangote and Co., they always send in money whenever Nigeria is going for any competition. But you still hear a lot of stories about players not being paid.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Players not being paid. This same tournament, FIFA or CAF is still going to refund Nigeria the same money that they spent. But these guys, they will still collect money from the federal government, collect money from these individuals. Where is the money going? At the end of the day, you still see that players and coaches are still being owed. Sometimes these guys will be stranded on the airport. So what I say, the major problem is administration. If we can have someone if you can have someone that have the interest of Nigerian football and Nigerian sport at heart, man, we'll have everything, because we have everything to succeed. We have everything to, get it right.
Now, taking a cue from where you just landed, now, do we actually have a popular association? Because a lot of people have argued that the NFA, they're saying that they're actually too political, like you need a particular CEO, or not just some people who have decided to put themselves up, and then most of them are just like an extension of the apron strings of a political or executive class. That's what most people are saying. So how would you actually react to that statement? Definitely,
NFF is very, very political, as I said before, though it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be, but unfortunately, that is how it is. And for you to become the NFF president, you need to, know one or two persons in power. And the way they have made it in such a way that they've restricted a lot of people from partaking in it. Even when they're voting, when they're having their own elections, they've restricted even the sport journalists from even partaking in it, and it's not supposed to be so. These are the guys that goes in, they risk their life to go everywhere. They know everything about football, so they should be the one to even decide who comes in. They should be the one to know the right person that can be able to like handle our own football. But these guys are being restricted. A lot of people are being restricted from partaking in NFF election. And for me, before the last election that they had, I never wanted someone that is someone that was part of the past administration to even come, to even be the head of NFF. But unfortunately, the same guy that is here right now, he was part and parcel of that past administration. I just hope that it won't be a continuation of the last administration. I really do hope that he will have a mind of his own, and he will actually restructure Nigerian football and take it to the next level. But the major thing is that NFF, let me not say for this particular administration, the last administration, it was very, very political, very, very political, and very, very corrupt. Yeah,
right.
You are very, very corrupt.
All right, so how can we actually bring back the days of, the glory days of our local leagues? How can we actually take back our local leagues seriously if we decide that we want to like raise shoulders up with other people internationally?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it's still the same way. The local league is still under the NFF.
I'm talking about for the players now.
Okay. Rephrase the question again.
How can we actually bring back the days of our local leagues? Because teams like Kano Pillars, you just begin to wonder what exactly happened to them. Some say that it was finance issues, and then teams like the Eyimba of Aba also had the finance issue and all of that. So, but we always get government interference regardless of all of that. So how do you actually think that these teams can survive without government subventions? That's one on the side, and then secondly, on the part of the players, how can we bring back the days of our glory days of our team so that we can compete internationally?
On the players' part, I think we have the players. We have the right players to be able to like go as far as competing in any tournaments in the world. We have the right players. The major problem has always been the administrative part, just as I've been saying before. If you are talking about Nigerian clubs like Kano Pillars, it's all about mismanagement, because they have the players. You cannot tell me that there is no money. If you go to Kano State, whenever Kano Pillars is playing football, I've been to the Sani Abacha Stadium. I've been there before. I've seen the number of crowd that comes into the stadium. So there is no way you tell me that the major problem, that one of the things that has made Kano Pillars to be even gone, but they are even on relegation, you cannot tell me that is finance. Finance is not the issue. It's all about mismanagement. And there's no way you can be able to like take away government interference in football, because most of all these clubs are in Nigeria that are being financed by the state government. And if you look at Enyimba, at a particular period, I think either 2003, 2004, they won the CAF Champions League back to back, and it was all about the interference from the then governor of Abia State. I think Governor Oji Ozokale, he actually injected a lot of funds. There were even sometimes that you see him being the governor, following these guys to go and give them moral support, being there in person to support them. So, when you are talking about government being interfering in the clubs,
so actually can do away with that.
You cannot do away with it. But this interference, what we're actually advocating for is that it should be positive. It should not be negative. It should not be a case of this is my own person because I'm sponsoring the team. So let my son go and play. Let this one go and play. You should be able to like fish out.
That's actually the issue. Can we actually do away with that?
Yeah, you can actually
part of infusing. That's my cousin. Bring my cousin, and then you don't tell the person that at some point you now tell the person, okay, don't waste your leg insurance in
that is why I said that.
And all of that.
That is why I said that if you have someone that has the interest of Nigerian football at heart, they will do the right thing. They will not try to like destabilize the team. They will not try to dictate for the coach. They will not try to dictate for the team. They'll actually try to do everything possible to make sure that the team succeed. That is what G.O.A.T did before in 2003, 2004, and since that time, Enyimba has never been the same again. Since he left office, Enyimba has never been the same. Because we have a lot of like smaller teams that can go to about right now to Enyimba Stadium and still beat them. And it's not supposed to be so, because they were not just a powerhouse when you talk about club football in Nigeria. They were a powerhouse in Africa, in African football, in African club football. So if you manage your stuff, or if you can be able to like put your house in order, give them the right support, we have the players. You can see like those players that took that CAF Champions League, you can see the kind of career that they have. You can see the kind of longevity that they had. People like Vincent Nyama. Nyama was part of that team. We had a lot of players that went on to even play for the Super Eagles. And they went on to even have a very, very good career abroad. So we have the players. The major problems are having the right support, having the right things, the things that you need to be able to like make it. That is exactly the major problem.
All right, and since we're still talking about the players, most of Brazilian clubs that we see now, when you just ask them what local league that they played for before playing internationally, most of them would definitely be able to pick pick out a handful that they have played for. But then when you come to Nigeria, most players that would actually prefer to be shipped abroad to play in the diaspora. So what exactly is the reason for that trend that we see now?
Yeah, the thing there is that our league is nothing to write home about. It's in a very sorry state. As of when you're talking about Nigerian Football League, that is the NPFL. As of some years ago, I think like maybe like 20, 15 years ago, you know, Nigerian Football League was very, very strong. We had the likes of BCC Lions, we have Enugu Rangers. You know, it was a thing of pride for someone to even identify himself with some of these Nigerian clubs. And whenever any of them were playing, you see a lot of people trooping in to go and watch Nigerian leagues. There are even some people that can even be able to like travel a long distance for days just to follow their team to go and play. It was a thing of pride as of that time. But over the years, they mismanaged everything. And now for the fact that whenever you move to Europe or even South Africa or even Brazilian league, if you can be able to like move to that place, you know, you sign a very, very lucrative contract. So the money aspect, there is no way you stop players from moving.
Is that what is demoralizing our players?
No, money is also a factor. But another major factor is that our league is in a very bad state. Our league is in a very, very bad state. I think as of 4 or 5 years ago, on a particular a popular sport channel was even showing Nigerian matches in the whole of Africa. You are showing Nigerian league matches, but right now they are not doing that because we don't have the facilities. It's mismanaged. You know, as of recent, we even saw someone revealing some kind of information that most of the matches have been fixed. There is no way we can be able to like progress if we are behaving this way. There is no way. We need to put a lot of things in shape. First of all, the facilities need to be right. We need to have the right facilities, have the right stadiums. And kudos to them to an extent. Most of our stadiums are in a very good shape right now. If they can be able to like maintain that level and then see how they can be able to improve, it will get better. But apart from that one, the organization of the whole league, we need to repackage the league. We need to rearrange it and bring in the right investors. And when they are investing it, we should make everything public to the journalists. Let the whole world know that this is how much Mr. A is bringing to come and support. Do you understand? This is how much Mr. B is bringing it. But when you are not making it public, there won't be anything like transparency, and nobody even want to even get involved in something that is deteriorating. There's no way. But when it's good, we have a lot of people that love football that are even ready to come and enjoy it, but nobody wants to come and invest money in something that is not bringing profit, something that is not making waves.
Now, will you actually say that we still have the quality of local leagues that we used to have in the days of the Finidi George, Kano Wankwo, Sunday Olise, Taribo West, and J.J. and the likes? And what we just have, or what we actually have now, are they like those who are just interested in the money and then the name and the fame and then the international recognition? Because like we already stated before that playing in your own country, that is your own local pride. So you should hold on to it. So, but yet you have a lot of people that will just tell themselves that, no, I need to save this my leg insurance and just go and play in diaspora.
You know, one of the things that we can never be able to stop right now is stopping players from moving abroad. There's no way we can be able to stop it. But there's still a way that we can move players abroad and our league will still be standardized.
Okay.
Yeah, there's still a way. If we can be able to like make this league very, very attractive, I believe that we'll have a lot of players. And it's not everybody that will go to Europe. No matter how you look, no matter how good, it's not everybody that will have the opportunity to move to Europe. But if the league is of a very good standard, as one person is leaving, there are a lot of players that are ready to come in and do even much more better than what that person is doing. If you watch, if you go to, you mentioned the Brazilian league before. Right now, there is a certain 16-year-old player that Real Madrid has just signed from the Brazilian league. We have a lot of players from the Brazilian league that move into Europe. Their own dream is also to play in Europe because that is the highest league in the world. So even in Brazilian league, as standard as their league is, a lot of players are still struggling to leave the league. Because if you want to be well known, if you want to reach the pinnacle of your career as a footballer, you need to play in Europe. If you don't play in Europe, the whole world will not know you. So there's no way we can be able to like stop Nigerian players from going to Europe. But then we need to still put the league in order. We need to put it, remodel the league, reshape it and put it in a very good state so that, because there's money in it. If you think that if the people in charge of the league, that if they think that they're seeing money now, they should remodel this league and make it standard. They will definitely see much more than what they even expect.
All right, before we finally let you go, even though I know, but I just needed you to tell our viewers again. Here's the part that I love most. I'll start with. Who is the greatest of all time? Is it Cristiano Ronaldo, Santos, Aveiro, or Lionel Andres Messi? Who is it for you?
Definitely for me, Cristiano is the GOAT.
Oh.
Yeah, Cristiano is the GOAT. Just as I mentioned before that, but we all know that the GOAT debate can never ever finish.
Definitely.
He had an interview now before the World Cup. He mentioned it. They asked him that if he can be able to win the World Cup, would the debate be over? He now said that no. That the GOAT debate will never be over because there are still a lot of individuals that like him for who he is, and there are still a lot of individuals that like Messi. That Messi is also a very, very good player, so there is no way the debate will finish, even if he wins the World Cup. And now it's the other way around, and still the GOAT debate will still continue. But for many of us, Ronaldo is still the GOAT, irrespective of what happened. He doesn't really need the World Cup for him to be the GOAT. Yeah, he's still a GOAT. Although congrats to Messi, though, congrats to Argentina. They tried. They actually tried.
Congrats to Messi. We even forgot to talk about Mbappe.
Yeah, definitely. I was even shocked that I did not mention him because that is like the next goal because that guy is doing amazing things.
The next guy to watch out for.
With the kind of quality that he possesses, I was not actually surprised by what I saw yesterday because he has the capacity to do that. So
you actually think that he deserved that golden?
Definitely 8 goals in the Champions League. There is no way. He must give it to him. He was the highest goal scorer in the competition. And then there are still a lot of people that will even say that he was the best player in the tournament. Although I still believe that Messi is the best player in the tournament because if you look at what he has done, he scored like I think 7 goals and then assisted like many goals too. I don't know how many he assisted, but when you talk about the involvement and the way he has been able to like carry the average team on his back, he deserves to be the best player of the tournament. But then he's still not. Ronaldo is still the GOAT. But then everybody should watch out for Mbappe.
Most especially.
Yeah.
And then you have also the keeper that they gave the golden.
Yeah.
And then you also have the
last
youths.
save. Yeah. He actually deserves it. The last save in the 128 minutes, that last save that he made, man,
Jesus.
It was something else. I actually thought that ball was going in. And that would have been it. That would have been it. But then it was not meant to be. Yeah, do you understand? It was not meant to be. So he actually deserves it. He has been very, very good. Very, very good. Very, very good. He has saved them. You know, they play, I think against Croatia, they won on penalty too. He saved 2 penalties. And yesterday he also saved one. I even followed the other one that was going out. So he deserves to be the best goalkeeper of the tournament.
Do you think that Croatia actually deserves to be?
Well, Croatia. For me, I don't actually think that anybody deserves anything in football. any team that wins is the one that deserves the win.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there. Thank you so much for coming to
Thank you so much
for your time. It's been a wonderful time having this talk. We can actually go on and on. But
definitely, a lot of things to talk about. And Nigeria, seriously, it's always a very painful thing to see that, to see what we are going through, what the Nigerian FA is putting Nigerians into. Because imagine a World Cup without Nigeria. It was very, very frustrating watching other teams, supporting their countries in the World Cup.
The way Nigerians were rooting for Argentina or France, then you just know that we love football.
Definitely, Nigeria loves football. I just hope that the new FA will do the right thing. They will do the right thing and put smiles on the faces of Nigerians again.
I quite agree with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you. All right, viewers, that's where we end it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like he said, his GOAT is Cristiano Ronaldo. And, well, unfortunately, fortunately, that is also my own GOAT. So argue all what you want. That's your own kettle of fish. That's where we leave it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you again from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours, and God bless Nigeria.